Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is a beautiful day in February. It is February 21 and we are tapping maple trees a full month earlier than what is normal for us. The weather's been crazy this year. It has been warm. We had a run of sap in January. We missed that one because we were gone on vacation. Some of our friends tapped, some of them didn't. Some were worried that the trees would heal too much before the normal season would be done. So a lot of us didn't tap, but this is our opportunity, and the weather's beautiful today. It's above freezing during the days and it's freezing at night, and it's actually going to warm up quite a bit. So it might be a really short season. So we're going to see what we get this year, and I'm going to take you along with us. You can see my tap hole from last year right here. It must be healed up because there's no sap coming out of it. So what we're going to do, instead of tapping around this same hole, what we're going to do is we're going to move over further over and above the tap from the previous year, because when the tree heals, it's going to scar up and down. So you never tap right above or right below your hole. So you always move over and slightly above your hole. So it's always better to start a little bit lower. So we will find a nice spot in the bark over on this side and get her tapped. So I am using the plastic spiles, the 5/16, just a clear spout. Come in a package of, I think, 12. I buy new ones every other year or so. And they look just like this. So you're going to make your hole in the tree, and then you're going to put this long end in, and then there's a kind of a solid piece of the plastic right here for you to hammer in, and then your tubing will actually come off of this one right here. So you always go in at an angle, and then your sap could flow right down from there. Always want to make sure that your bucket is on a nice level ground. If you're doing it when there's a lot of heavy snow, you want to make sure that when the snow melts, the bucket doesn't tip over. Feed that one. So here's our old hole. So we're going to go up over here. Up and over. I should even put my bucket. A little bit of an angle. And if it's good season, oh, it's pouring right out already. Oh, I'm getting sap all over my face. That's that beautiful stuff. Wow. That's just coming right out. Guys a little bit closer and show you this. This one's flowing just like it should. So I got my tubing right here. I'll take my tubing off. You can see how well that's pouring right out of there. That's what you want to see. And I don't use the regular blue tubing. The first year that Dan and I tapped, everything was sold out, so we couldn't get any of this tubing. You can see how well that sap's pouring right through there. And I think the regular syrup, or the sap tubing, is blue. And so we went to the automotive section of the store and just bought the automotive hose. I sterilized it, ran bleach through it. I mean, it's clean. It's brand new. It's the same stuff. It's even a little thicker. It's probably even a little bit more industrial than the other stuff. And so you just got to make sure that if your spiles are, mine are 5/16, that the inner diameter of your tube is 5/16, not the outside diameter. And this tree is big enough to tap more than once, so. And then I just took the same size drill bit as the outside diameter of the hose and drilled holes in the tops of my buckets. And this one's got 2 holes in it because I usually tap this one twice. Here's my hole from last year. So I'm going to go over and then up just a little bit. And I already measured my tubing, so I move my bucket a little bit, I can get up to about right there. So always up on an angle. And make sure that you actually clean your hole out, because all of this pulp and stuff can really plug these up, and then you won't get any of your sap coming out. This one's flowing just as good. I buy these plastic spiles every other year, so I can about get 2 years out of them, but they don't come out of the tree as nice as the metal ones, so they tend to break when you pull them out. But you can't leave them in either. Make sure your connection's really good. It's flowing into that bucket so fast, it sounds like running water. I love that sound. It is so unbelievably warm out here right now. I'm gonna take my vest off here in a minute. This weather has been so strange this year. We had a good run of sap in January when we were in Mexico, so we missed that. Some of our friends tapped, some of them didn't. And the danger of tapping too early is that the trees can heal before the season's over with. And so you really want to be careful that you're watching for more consistent weather. But I think the weather's just all over the place this year. This is actually unbelievable to be out here walking around when the snow's not knee deep. I mean, I could be out here almost in my tennis shoes. There's just a little bit of snow on the ground. And so we're going to get what we can this year. I don't think it's going to be a great season because I think it's going to be really short. Usually our season is about 3 to 4 weeks long, and we're tapping almost a full month earlier than what we normally tap. So we'll see how well it does, because it's supposed to be in the 50s next week, which would flow really well during the day, but it's not supposed to be freezing at night. And ideally you want it cold at night. It has to be below freezing, ideally in the teens at night, and then 40s, sunny during the day is going to give you the best flow of sap. So we'll see what we get this year. And here's my hole from last year. I want to stay on this side of the tree because this is where the sun hits the tree and it warms up faster. So I'm going to go up right over here. And there's the sap already. I have to cut some longer ones. set this bucket. I think I need a longer one yet. This stuff can get pretty sticky. Alright, so I got 2 holes in this lid here so I can get and I try not to attach the lids on the buckets too hard and not all the way around. 4 places around is usually good. I've only had one time where an animal took my bucket. It took me a while to find it, but I did find it. I don't know if it was a bear or what, but it was torn apart. But at that point, having the lid on all the way isn't going to save it. All right, so I did this one, and it's normal for the tree to drip a little bit out of the hole. That'll slow down a little bit. Most of it's coming through the tubing. So we're going to continue tapping. I've got, I think, 8 more buckets to do. I'm just going to walk around and get these guys done. Out a little bit for carrying them. Oh, that one's almost full. full. I'll just So this one was tapped on Monday afternoon and it's Thursday. So that one's got several days. Because Dan went out and tapped for me while I was stuck at work. Such a beautiful day. Alright, so I got my pots all cleaned out. I have just a couple stainless steel pots. This is just an old buffet pan that I got at a secondhand store for probably $1 or $2, and one of the original pots that I did my maple syrup in when I did it over a fire. I didn't want my kitchen pots to look like this because this is what they're going to look like when they've been over a fire for a while. So I just bought a bunch of cheap stainless steel pots from Walmart and did my original 2 years. I did my maple syrup all over an open fire. We had a friend make some grates that we put over cinder block that Dan put together, and then just did our boiling from there, just with all these pots. And it worked out really good for the first couple years until my brother made me this. And this works a lot better because I can get a whole lot more done in a shorter amount of time because of the amount that I can boil at one time, and the fire gets a lot hotter. And I can keep it, I find that I can keep it a little bit more consistent. I don't have to watch it quite so much with this type of system. When I was boiling it in the pots over the fire, I had to keep an eye on it a lot more, and it was a lot more time consuming. So this is a lot less time consuming. So let's get some of this sap pre-warmed, because this isn't boiling really well yet, but it will come up to a boil here soon. And once it boils down a little bit, then we're going to start adding the warm stuff into here. So this has got ice in it even, so it'll get pretty warm up on top of there. Just gotta make sure you balance it just right. So this bucket was full, so that's 5 gallons that will be warmed up, ready to go. Just gotta make sure that you have your hot pads ready to go, because those pots will be hot. And there's me one more bucket to go get more sap. I got a couple more buckets to check. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my maple syrup evaporator. This is an old wood stove that my brother had just laying around. He was actually going to get rid of it, and I had asked him if he was willing to make me a maple syrup evaporator. I sent him a bunch of pictures, and he says, "Hey, I got the perfect thing. I was just about to get rid of it. Good timing." So this is I think it's a custom-made old wood stove that somebody made, and it's long enough. It's about 5 or more feet long, and it's made to burn pallet wood without cutting it. So it's quite long, and it's got this heat exchanger over the top. He tried to figure out a way to just take that off because we didn't feel like we needed it for this purpose, but because there's a big hole there and trying to figure out how to seal it and everything, we just left it on there, and it actually works really well for pre-warming. So it ended up working out just fine. So what he did was just cut a big hole in the top of the wood stove and then fabricated a stainless steel pan that sits on top with some baffles in it to keep the sap from moving back and forth, and then put a drain on the side. And the way we have it sitting on the bricks, it's tilted just slightly towards the drain. And I can get comfortably about 14-15 gallons of sap in the pan, and then another 4 to 5 gallons in the pre-warming pans on the top. So I can do almost 20 gallons at a time. So we can comfortably get through about 40 to 50 gallons in a day, depending on how hot we keep the fire. So our first official maple syrup day of 2024 is officially well underway. I'm going to turn things over to Dan. I'm going to get ready to go to work, and we will see you guys on the next video. And thanks again for all of your encouragement and for joining us. See you next time.